I think in the end, it's like two things. It's like he's the good guy and he wins. Like those are the two things. Right? To me, like he's the hero of the story. Like life is too hard, man. Like people need a hero, and Batman should be that hero. I mean,
After a year and a half of meandering, pretentious, nonsensical comic issues, Batman finally confronts Bane, the villain who destroyed his marriage, tortured him, and killed his beloved father figure Alfred. This should be the thrilling culmination to Tom King's 3+ year on DC Comics' flagship series, highlighting the evolution of his story arcs as King readies to move on to the Batman Catwoman and Strange Adventures maxi-series, which in all honesty serve his writing style much better than open-ended amounts of comics for King to lose focus and start experimenting with new postmodern storytelling techniques. Tom King's Batman has been a smorgasbord of bad storytelling for too long. I prayed for the days he would stop jamming in copious amounts of poetry and classic literature that served nothing but making Batman feel like an oasis of self-indulgence. King stopped that nonsense a while ago, but honestly, the storytelling hasn't improved. It remains exceptionally mediocre on the best issues and all but unreadable on the very worst. Batman 82 firmly sits in the worst of bucket in Tom King's Batman run. I don't recommend this comic to anyone, but then again, I've been warning people to stay away from Tom King's Batman since the day I started thinking critical, and Tom King has been proving me right month after month ever since. In that spirit, be looking out for a video dropping a few hours after this review. Corbin from Frank Caliendo's Comic Playground podcast joins me to discuss exactly where Tom King's Batman went off the rails. We talk about the series from the critically acclaimed first year through today. I think everyone will want to hear our collective thoughts on the fall of Tom King's Batman. In addition, this Saturday on Comics Aficionados, Corbin, Ash from Ash on Comics, and Dylan from The Real Comic Book Gamer join me to discuss who has done more damage to DC Comics, Tom King or Brian Michael Bendis. It should be a very lively discussion. As always, Comics Aficionados will be live and unfiltered. Join us and let your voice be heard in the King versus Bendis deliberation. Before I get into the details of Tom King's latest Batman comic, I humbly ask if you haven't subscribed to Thinking Critical yet, please show your support and subscribe to the channel. Let your fellow comic readers know Thinking Critical is a valuable source for comic book reviews, news, discussion, and in-depth analysis. If you're enjoying the channel content, please subscribe. Now, let's get into all the details in today's comic book review. I gotta be honest, I'm well past going in depth about the art in Tom King's Batman. It's Mikel Janin's turn in the rotation this week. He's illustrated a lot of the final half of King's Batman. His style is very clean, but normally has a static feel. Not exactly the best choice for a comic that is essentially one elongated fight sequence. Janin's art isn't nearly as pristine as normal in Batman 82. I'm not sure if that's by design or if he was rushed. But it doesn't really matter either way. This comic fails because of Tom King's writing. The comic starts with a face-off King has essentially been building to for, 3 years, a year and a half, 3 months now. It depends on your perspective of Tom King's Batman run. But this is the showdown. Batman versus Bane, one-on-one. They remove their masks. Batman says it's mano a mano. No help from Catwoman. It's not her fight. And they take their tops off. Why? I'm not sure exactly. But they keep their bottoms on, so at least they're not playing shorts and skins like Thomas Wayne and Bane did in the aptly numbered Batman 69. While the fight happens, there's 4 pages of Thomas Wayne and the ventriloquist leaving the Batcave, heading to Bane's fortress. Ventriloquist asks if there's anything further Thomas requires and gets slapped for his efforts. Flashpoint Batman needs his son. As they walk past all Batman's fallen understudies, except Rick Grayson, who isn't himself these days and didn't join his fellow Robins, it's a nice reminder that in Tom King's Batman, Thomas Wayne is apparently an unstoppable fighting machine, even though he's never been portrayed as anywhere on the level of Bruce Wayne or any of his Robins at fisticuffs. But Tom King's Batman means there will be little to no interest paid to character history or abilities, one of the enormous failings of his entire Batman run. Bane removes his venom tubes and the pair get ready to throw down. Immediately, Catwoman traps Bane's arm with her whip, breaking the rules of engagement. Of course, there's no way Batman could even dare attempt to defeat Bane on his own. Thankfully, Bruce Wayne's knight in shining armor, Selina Kyle, is there to save him. And of course, he stashed a couple of super venom-infused batarangs in his drawers just for such an occasion. This next page is just everything wrong with Tom King's Batman. It's extremely long-winded, pretentious as hell, and involves a ton of explaining of King's latest convoluted plan for what is supposed to be the most prepared hero in the DC Comics universe. Bruce basically sits back and watches while the real hero of Batcat beats the piss out of Bane, basically single-handedly. Bruce, okay, you were right. Selina, see, told you he'd do it. Of course, she's the brains of the duo. Catwoman, Cat, Bane doesn't use Gotham Girl super venom because it'll overload his system. If I could inject it directly with a batarang, we could take it down. Bruce, Cat, I was there. Shut up, Batman. The woman is talking about how smart she is. Selina continues mocking Bruce in his pansy voice. But it won't work, because he can modulate his body with his pump. He's so strong, how can we unhook him? It's impossible. He's so big. He's so strong. He's so blah, blah, blah. She's got a point. Thank God one of them can formulate a master plan to take down a supervillain. Selina strangles the life out of Bane and continues mocking Batman. Well, Bat, why don't you just ask him? No way, Cat. That's so dumb. He's too smart for all that. Bruce finally speaks, and King somehow makes him look even more moronic. Hey, I never said he was smart. Really? Industry legends Denny O'Neil, Chuck Dixon, and Doug Mensch meticulously crafted Bane over the course of months. Bane is one of the most intelligent villains Batman has ever crossed paths with. Ra's al Ghul describes Bane as having a mind equal to the greatest he has ever known. Tom King takes a dump on America, DC Comics, and comic fans worldwide each time he writes a story and refuses to acknowledge or adhere to established character traits in history, which is every time he writes a comic these days. One thing I will point out in the art is Catwoman is always shimmering in gold. She's always portrayed as the most important hero whenever she and Batman are on the page together. She's a better fighter than him. She's a far superior strategist. By this point, I bet she can even beat Bruce in a frown-off, because she's superior to him in every single way in Tom King's eyes. The only reason Batman isn't laying in a pool of his own blood, piss, and urine, dying at the hands of Bane, is because his far superior counterpart is with him. This is why King's Batman sucks, and it's not because he thinks Catwoman is a superior hero, even though she's not a hero in any sense of the word. It's because he hates Batman. Tom King can't stand the thought of a competent male hero. He's been making up character traits in history to justify his portrayal of Batman his entire run. In King's mind, Batman is weak because he's a loner. Batman has never operated alone. He's always had Alfred as his rock and moral compass. He's been surrounded by Robins almost his entire run as a comic hero. Has Batman been bailed out before? Of course he has. But Bruce Wayne has bailed out far more heroes in his time. He's literally the most competent hero in DC Comics' vast lineup of superheroes, and doesn't even need a superpower to do it, because he's always been the best. That's why this entire run feels off. Batman never feels like the elite hero he is during Tom King's run. He's made to look an incompetent fool over and over, who only survives by sheer luck and the saving grace of Catwoman. I guess King hasn't gelded Bane enough, so he has him saying, "Here, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty." And of course, King thinks Gotham is Selina Kyle's city. All those years trying to take Gotham, thinking it was his city. All those years wasted in ignorance. Yes, King, we know you want us to know. You think Bane is brain dead, essentially. Thinking Gotham belonged to the boy on the hill instead of the stray on the street. You fool. All right, Tom, we get it. Bane's the jester in Catwoman's court. It's not his city. It's not yours. It's mine. I don't know. I'm not buying this at all. Just stupid characterization. I kind of wish Bruce had bataranged her right in the skull and said, "Now that the real villain is out of the way, let's dance." Instead, Selena says something about cat got your tongue. Whatever, crap like that. Bane monkey flips Catwoman and allows Bruce to finally get his hands on Bane. Good thing she tired him out beforehand, or he would have died immediately. He picks up the scraps of Bane Catwoman left behind and says he should kill Bane for what he did, but he can't do it. He says, instead, I will simply break your damn back. Now, I'm not sure how many times Batman has threatened to break Bane's back in this run, but it's got to be a dozen or more. I know they altered the trades to take out the phrase a few times, because Tom King went to that well too often. Whatever. Bruce's plan to place a 400-plus pound Bane on his knee to deadlift him up is severely ill-conceived, but it doesn't matter in the end. City of Bane was never about Batman overcoming Bane and reclaiming Catwoman City. It was always City of Wayne. Flashpoint Batman, who shouldn't even be here in this universe, shoots Bruce in the abdomen, and then executes Bane right then and there. Some people may think this is exciting. I don't know, I yawn. Who cares? I'm so far from invested in this story, it doesn't even matter what happens anymore. There's no cliffhanger great enough at this point. I've suffered through too many crappy Tom King Batman comics to care. I rate the characterization 0.5 out of 5 overall. I rate the plot 1.5 out of 5. Before I wrap this review up, I want to let you know if you would like to help support all the comic book and pop culture content on Thinking Critical, we have a Ko-fi page now. You can make a one-time contribution or set up monthly contributions on our Ko-fi page. Contributors will receive bonus content and early access to some channel content. There's a link to our Ko-fi page and Discord server in the video description. Tom King's Batman 81 was severely compressed filler. Batman 82 is very decompressed filler. At least he's mixing it up a bit, I guess. Every piece of characterization about this comic feels wrong, except Bane fighting with a batarang stuck in his face the whole time. I think he would probably do that. The dialogue is as poor as you would expect from Tom King's Batman. For a comic run to lead up for seemingly 3 years to this moment, it fell extraordinarily flat. Batman doesn't really do anything but take his shirt off and watch Catwoman dismantle Bane with ease. And then he gets shot in the stomach. This is a terrible comic. I rate it 1.5 out of 5 overall. Nobody should be reading this series anymore. If you're pot committed and gonna see it through to the end like me, may God have mercy on all our souls. The good news is there are only 3 issues of Tom King's Batman left. The chances of series redemption have long since passed. City of Bane isn't the story to restore positive feelings about King's Batman. Just another in a long list of disappointing Batman story arcs. Of course, it's not truly over after the next 3 issues of Batman. Tom King's Batman Catwoman event series finishes King's epic Bat-Cat love story. And you can bet your bottom dollar I'll be there documenting just how horrible it is. And just one final reminder to check out my conversation with Corbin from Frank Caliendo's Comic Playground podcast dropping in a few hours. We discuss when we think Tom King's Batman went wrong. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.